So hey guys, the series name is What If Naruto Fall in Love with Rias Gremory, so this is second part of the series. So let's start the series. So, you talked to him? What did he say? Rias rounded on Akino the moment they appeared within the ORC club room. The Occult Research Club was originally abandoned due to a lack of both members and funding, but upon arriving at the school herself, Rias saw an opportunity that could allow her peerage to function in secrecy. Even during daytime, by securing the property the old school building stood on, it was a hassle and a half to officially gain all the rights for the building and the small forest outside, but one well worth it in the end, and there was nothing that she wouldn't do for her peerage. Who are we talking about here? Akino questioned, looking at the unusually bubbly form of her king. The new guy, of course. Rias took a hold of Akino's arm and pulled her towards one of the many Victorian-styled couches that lined the walls of her clubroom. Now what did he say? Did you notice anything odd about him? Did you get a feel for his energy? Anything? Hey, calm down, girl. The ponytailed senior squinted at Rias. What's this all about? Why are you so curious about Uzumaki-kun? Oh, Rias flushed, and her fingers fiddled with a strand of her crimson hair. It's nothing. I just noticed that his teeth looked a lot like those of a canine, too long and sharp to belong to a human. So I was curious if he might be a yokai, that's all. Yuhu. Akino scrutinized the girl sitting next to her, taking note of the little dusting of pink on Rias's cheeks, and the way her fingers played with strands of her crimson hair. What's gotten into my bucho to make her so cutesy? Acting all flushed and embarrassed, Akino wondered but decided to give the question some thought before responding. No, there was nothing that struck me as odd or out of the ordinary, but we only shared a few words. Really? Ria's face fell. Nothing at all? What's with her? Akino's brow furrowed. As I said, we only shared a few words, and he didn't decide to give me a short version of his life story. Ria's shoulders fell and she sank back into the sofa they sat on. I see. I guess I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up. If you were so curious about Uzumaki-kun, then why didn't you just talk with him? Now that I think about it, you spent a long time just sitting at your desk today. Akino too leaned back into the couch and crossed her legs. Rias rubbed her thighs. I wanted to go and introduce myself as well, but I don't know, I just got nervous? Akino looked at her best friend, and much to her shock and surprise Ria's face flushed red. Don't tell me, oh my, could it be that you're crushing on the new guy? No! Rias cried out with a burning face. I don't have a crush on anyone. Really? Then why is your face so red? Akino pointed at the blushing Rias with a sparkle in her violet eyes. Oh my, you've got a crush. This is so adorable. Akino-chan. Rias yelped as the buxom senior practically knocked her over with an unexpected bear hug. What are you doing? Hugging you, of course. Akino giggled cutely. Rias gasped as the former pushed them both until they lay spread eagle on the length of the couch. My cute little Rias-chan has her first crush on a boy. This is great. But I don't. Rias wiggled beneath her busted best friend, trying to push against the heavier black-haired girl. Now get off. Oh my, just think about what your parents would say, you fufu. Akino continued, laughing and giggling and completely ignoring the struggling girl she held trapped beneath her. The great Rias Gremory is crushing on a human boy. Akino-chan. Stop it, please. Rias whined with a face so red that it seemed to blend in with her hair, making her head look like a tomato with wide eyes. Akino pushed herself up, using her king's shoulders until she sat on Rias' abdomen, straddling the girl. Well, if anything, I've got to admit that your taste in men hasn't changed. Uzumaki-kun is certainly easy on the eyes. Rias crossed her arms and pouted. I told you, Akino-chan, I'm not crushing on him or anyone for that matter. But you were blushing. Akino shuffled back until her back rested against Rias's knees, truly using the girl beneath her as a recliner. I never saw you blush because of a boy. Well, Rio boy, that is. There was that one time I caught you masturbating. Akino Himejima. The crimson-haired girl cried and covered Akino's mouth with both of her hands. You promised to never talk about that again. The two high school seniors looked at each other, Rias with a pouty blush on her face, and Akino with Rias' hands covering her mouth. There was silence until both broke out into fits of girlish giggling which became roaring laughter. The two childhood friends laughed until tears came to their eyes and their breathing turned into labored pants. You're incorrigible, Akino-chan, Rias panted out and reached up to wipe a stray tear from the corner of her eye. And you're far too easy to tease, Rias. Akino blew out her cheeks before allowing herself to fall forward. Rias felt her breath leave her in a sharp exhale as the weight of her best friend dropped onto her heaving chest. But she didn't mind. The two girls lay there in each other's arms, their breathing hard and the occasional giggle and laugh escaping their lips. Uncaring of the scene they would strike to anyone that was to observe them at the moment. This was rather unfortunate as the doors of the clubroom opened and a very handsome young man came walking into the room. The moment the boy's bluish-gray eyes fell onto the two women lying on the couch, both breathing hard with their bodies entwined in a lover's embrace, he blinked once, twice and then a third time before he spun around on the spot and left the clubroom as quickly as he had entered. Please ignore my interruption. Don't let me stop you from enjoying your moment. Rias and Akino heard the echo of Kiba voice coming from the hallway outside. Rias blinked, her face a mask of serenity. Akino-chan? Yes? Akino too looked as if nothing ever happened. Did we just get caught doing something suggestively sexual, again? Yes, we did. Huh, yup. Akino turned her head to look Rias in the eyes. If we keep getting caught in positions like this, I wouldn't be surprised if your parents would take you for a lesbian. Again, Rias blinked up at Akino with big and round eyes. Do you think that being gay would get me out of my contract with Riser? Akino opened her mouth as if to answer but quickly snapped it shut again and a look of contemplation overtook her features. She squinted and thought, maybe? Ria's face brightened. A maybe's good, right? Akino reached down to tuck a strand of hair behind Rias's ear. Maybe. But it also may make Riser even more determined to marry you. But besides that, do you really want to join the Rainbow Nation now that you have found a boyfriend? The crimson-haired girl's face lit up in an equally crimson flush. How many times do I have to tell you? I don't have a crush on anyone. Akino only laughed melodiously, which didn't please her king, not one bit. As such, the two beauties spent the rest of their lunch break squabbling, teasing, and laughing without a care in the world. Naruto sighed pleasantly as he rested his back against a large oak tree that stood at the edge of the courtyard behind Kohai's main academic building. After finishing his lunch, some fast food he bought on his way to school, he just wanted to relax for a few moments before classes would resume. So far, Naruto didn't know what he should think of his first day at school. He had enjoyed it more than he thought that he would, but beyond that, he could not help to question his choice of enrolling in the academy. Maybe it was his guilt acting up, or maybe it was something else entirely. But he felt that he wasn't ready to move on. He exhaled a long-suffering breath. Was it right for him to move on after everything that happened? For months now he hid from the world, all the while hoping and praying that someone would come to get him. He hoped that his friends would find some way to get him back home. But nothing happened. No one came for him. For the first time in a long while, Naruto was in a position where his might and chakra were not enough. Or if it was enough, then he knew not where to start. He knew far too little about the makeup of the universe, and he had no idea if or how interdimensional travel was possible. Oh, he was aware that there were beings out there that had such power at their command, but he was not one of them. He possessed no Sharingan, no Rinnegan, and most certainly no Rinne Sharingan, and his knowledge about Fuinjutsu was lacking. He could make a storage scroll, but that was about it. He was far away from knowing how to create seals that could function on an interdimensional level. And if he didn't just so happen to stumble upon a seal master that was willing to teach him, Naruto feared that that would never change. Dear me, could you please not? Naruto had no outward reaction to the booming and ungodly voice that suddenly resonated through his mind with the force of a thunderclap. He just smiled. Good morning, sleeping princess. Nothing good about it. Kurama, the nine-tailed demon fox, the bane of Konoha, and one of the closest friends Naruto ever had, grumbled in pure annoyance. First thing I hear after waking up from a month-long nap, and it just had to be your annoying and despondent thoughts. Oh, screw you too, Naruto huffed. Besides, I've been getting better with that, and you know it. True enough, I suppose. Kurama yawned loudly before looking at the world through Naruto's eyes. Naruto? Yes? Why are we in a human school? And why are you wearing a school uniform? Well, didn't you say that you wanted me to get my ass into gear and do something with my life? I think you said something along the lines of... Naruto mentally cleared his throat. Naruto, stop sulking and get your ass into gear, or I swear that I will make your every day a living hell on earth. After that, I remember you going into a fit of evil cackling while simultaneously throwing insult after insult at me. Then you were so tuckered out that you went on a month-long nap. If a giant monster fox could blush in embarrassment, then Kurama would be doing that right now. Well, that might be true, but I was thinking about something like using your skills to become a mercenary or a thief or hell even an assassin. Yeah, save it. I know killing people for money isn't exactly you, but we could have switched places, then I could have done the killing while you could have spent the money. But not school. I remember that you hated school. So why are we in school? The one fucking place that's sure to be even more boring than your smelly and cramped apartment. Well, I thought that it would be smart to join a school, you know? This way I could meet some new people, maybe make some friends while also learning. Bullshit. Naruto jumped at Kurama's loud bellow. So startled was he that even his physical body jumped nearly a foot into the air. Wah, bullshit, again. Naruto was cut off by Kurama, quieter this time as Kurama adapted a matter-of-fact tone. There is no way at all that you would ever join a school to learn something. No way. I don't believe it. What's that supposed to mean, you giant furry asshole? Huh. I can study. Bullshit. The day you sit down with a book in hand to study something that isn't related to ninjutsu is the day I'm going to transform into a hot and bothered anime fox girl with a deep craving for your dick. Naruto crossed his arms and pouted. You're an asshole to bail. There's no denying the obvious, but I'm also right, Kurama snorted within his mind. Now, truth, give it to me, pronto. You know, you actually would make for a good anime waifu. You have that bossy sun personality down to a T. Oh, go and fuck a fucking duck, you fucking schmuck. Naruto chuckled warmly, quickly being joined by his partner. It was good to be able to talk with that grouchy old kitsune again, even if he sometimes wanted to strangle Kurama. But Naruto, why are we here? Kurama asked, and Naruto knew that his tenant was serious right now. Just look yourself, the blonde stated before synchronizing his mind with that of Kurama's, showing the Biju all that transpired over the last month. Processing a month's worth of memories took even Kurama a few moments to do, and once it was done Naruto waited and allowed the ancient Biju to mull over what he had learned. Interesting. Yup, very curious indeed. Naruto nodded in agreement. You think this boss will be able to help you get back home? Naruto raked a hand through his golden blonde hair. Honestly? No, I don't think so. I believe that I'm being played here right and proper. And I know that those people, whoever they are, know far more about us than we know about them. Which is never a good thing. And finally, I was contracted by a shady group of people to play pretend at a high school. If that doesn't cause both your morally and ethnically wrong bells to ring, then I don't know what will. Quite the situation you've gotten yourself into here, he heard Kurama hum from within him. But the question remains, if you think that they're fooling you, then why are you here? Naruto leaned his head back against the rough bark of the oak tree, and allowed his gaze to wander heavenward. Because those guys might be telling the truth. Their leader might truly be able to get us back to the elemental nations, and if not, then... Kurama chuckled evilly within Naruto's mind. If not, then we'll be able to give those idiots a one-way ticket straight to hell. Exactly. Naruto's azure blue eyes flashed red for a moment before they shifted back to their original color. But until those guys tell me what the heck I'm supposed to do, I'm going to have to play the part of being a normal student. Oh, the horror. I know, right? It's terrible. Naruto, that was sarcasm. Oh really? What's that taste like? I see what you did there. Once more man and beast shared some laughs, but it was interrupted all too soon by the ringing of school's bells, announcing the end of Naruto's freedom. Well, that's my cue. I'm going to take another nap. Wake me up once something interesting happens. Wait, Kurama. Are you sure that you don't want to switch places with me? Come on, I'm sure you want to stretch your legs for a bit, right? Naruto gave Kurama the best iteration of mental puppy dog eyes that he could. Pretty please? Sure. Wait, really? Yeah, why not? Kurama agreed readily. I'm sure that no one will notice that the new kid suddenly has deep red eyes, 3-inch long canines, and claws for fingernails. I'll fit right in with this bunch of meat bags. Naruto pouted at nothing. No need to rub it in. If you don't want me to rub it in, then stop asking stupid questions. Now get your ass back to the class, young man. A large tick mark pulsed away on Naruto's temple. You're enjoying this, aren't you? PFF, no, not at all. Who do you take me for? Now get, time's a wasting. Now Naruto might have believed Kurama, were it not for the fact that the bastard of a fox was roaring in laughter. Such an insensitive bastard, mocking Naruto and the horrors he would soon experience. Fuck you, Kurama! Fuck you! Naruto smiled brightly. And it's good to have you back, buddy. Heh, it's good to be back, kid. Naruto rested his chin against his palm as he sat at his table. The teacher wasn't here yet, so the class was rowdy as students mingled with each other and chatted about this, that, and everything else. Even so, Naruto had no desire to join them. After all the students were talking about things that Naruto knew far too little about. Though as he allowed his eyes to wander through the crowded class, he noted that the pretty crimson-haired girl wasn't here either was her friend Akino. They probably have a different schedule than I. That was as good a guess as any other. Hey Chiho, did you hear? Naruto picked up on a conversation happening between two boys that sat a few rows in front of him, and with nothing better to do Naruto decided to listen in. Hear about what Shin? The first boy, Chiho asked. The perverted trio got caught peeping again, Shin said with a chuckle following his statement. Perverted trio? Really? Naruto wondered about that before shuddering as an image of 3 Jiraiya appeared before his mind's eye. No, just no. Honestly, those 3 are hopeless, Chiho facepalmed. Whether it was from embarrassment or something else Naruto didn't know. I know what you mean, man, but can you blame them? Guess not, still they better stop with their peeping. Chiho muttered lowly enough that Naruto just barely managed to catch his words. You're only saying that because Kaori's going to enter Koa Academy next year. Chiho crossed his arms and huffed. Not if I have anything to say about it. I'll make sure that my sister isn't coming anywhere close to this place as long as Hayato and his fat buddies are around. Aren't you a bit overly dramatic here? Am I? Chiho shot back, then tell me, genius, what would you do if you were in my position? Huh? Tell me? Well, there's always Hakanawa Academy across town, that's what I thought. Naruto shook his head at the interaction between the two boys with a small smile playing on his lips. Must be nice to only have such mundane concerns. He could hardly recall the feeling. Even now his life seemed to be unnecessarily convoluted. But he supposed that he signed up for it the moment he chose to become a shinobi. Naruto perked up when he saw the doors to the classroom open before a tall and beautiful woman came walking into the room. The students all scurried onto their seats as the woman's heels clicked against the floor, and she came to a stop in front of the blackboard. What's with all these women? Is this school some magnet for supermodels? Instead of flushing or gawking at the woman's gorgeous appearance, Naruto just shook his head in disbelief. Truly, this school was every pervert's paradise, and the woman that calmly stood before the entire class just served to reinforce that fact even further. Good lord, she could give both Momo and Akino a run for their money. She oozed confidence as she stood there, staring at all the students with an icy and strict expression on her beautiful face. Her light gray hair was pulled into a slightly slanted ponytail, and several loose strands of her hair covered much of her left eye in a peek-boo. She had silvery gray eyes which were currently set into a hard stare and a cute mole on her left cheek, right underneath her lower lashes. The woman, for she appeared to be in her mid-30s, had a nice and curvaceous figure. She had long legs, very wide and thick hips, a thin waist, and modest breasts, all of which were covered by a fitting business suit with a skirt that was dreadfully short, leaving nothing of her long legs to the imagination. After holding her stare for another moment longer, the woman turned on the spot and wrote her name in chalk onto the blackboard before once more turning to face the class. No, not the class. Naruto couldn't help but gulp as the woman's eyes found his own, her stare unflinching and hard as steel. Starting today, I'll be your instructor for Japanese history. The woman's tone was soft and feminine but left an icy feeling in its wake. My name is Chion Sohi. Damn, she sure is gorgeous, Naruto thought absent-mindedly as he observed some of his classmates whisper about the woman, which did not last long. Quiet! The beautiful teacher slammed her fist onto the blackboard behind her, which caused many of the students in the class to nearly jump out of their seats in shock and left even the blonde shinobi quite startled. Those of you who've studied under me should know this already, but I don't believe that any students deserve to enjoy their basic human rights. Naruto blanched at that. Say what now? So, for the sake of our new student here, I will say this. I will use every means necessary to make you succeed as students. The woman stalked back and forth in front of the class looking like a predator on the prowl, one hand on her hip, while the other was wrapped tightly around a pointer. Concentrate on every single word I say and don't even let me hear you breathe, understood? Every single student, Naruto included, nodded their heads rapidly. Anyone who doesn't do as I say, she glared quite darkly, might he add, and let her eyes wander over every single student in attendance, will not be able to survive my class, so brace yourselves. What the fuck? Naruto breathed out before leaning over to another student sitting in his row. Is this normal? Naruto whispered to the girl who he sadly had not had the chance to meet before. Huh? The girl, cute lithe thing, looked at Naruto in confusion before her light blue eyes lit up in recognition. Oh, right, you're the new guy, so I shouldn't be surprised that you don't know about her. But to answer your question, yes, that's quite normal. The girl glanced at the teacher standing at the front before leaning closer towards him. Chion-sensei is extremely strict and known throughout the academy for her harsh treatment of students. She grills students for the smallest of mistakes and is known for dishing out corporal punishment. That right there, Uzumaki-san is MS, Chion Sohi, Academy's tyrant teacher. What the tyrant teacher? What did I get myself into now? Honestly, Kit, I have no idea, but I'm enjoying this greatly right now. Bahaha. Naruto's head met his desk with a dull thud and he let out a low groan of annoyance. But of course, he should have suspected this already, shouldn't he? It was just his luck that the school he attended just so happened to have a drill sergeant disguised as a hot teacher. Ah, really, fuck my life. Now then, class, you better pay attention, and don't you even think about slouching or sleeping during MY class. Naruto felt like crying right about now. I can't even sleep through this. Open your history textbook. Page 15. Now, you know, Naruto, I take it back. I don't think that this school's going to bore me anytime soon. This shit is better than wrestling. Now do something to make the woman angry. I wanna see what she does. Kami-sama, why? Uzumaki, pay attention. Yes, ma'am. Work. The beautiful crimson-haired heiress of the Gremory family was sitting at her large mahogany office table, enjoying her free period. And by enjoying she meant going over the paperwork that had gathered over the school day. It was boring and thankless work, but it was a part of being both a high-class devil and the president of a club. Sometimes her workload seemed unending, therefore she was glad that she had this free period. That and it allowed her to escape the clutches of the history teacher, that woman, Chion Sohi. She was scary. Akino was a sadist with some masochistic tendencies, and even she went out of her way to avoid that woman. I hope Naruto-kun is doing well. Rias blinked. Her hand which held a ballpoint pen stopped mid-brush. And there it is again. Why won't you leave my mind? She lightly shook her head and placed her focus back on the paper she was in the process of filling out. But it was no use, even as her hand brushed the pen over paper, filling out line after line as if on autopilot. Her thoughts revolved around the new student. It was worse now that she was alone, with nothing here to distract her. What's wrong with me? She wondered, could it be a crush? But I don't even know him. But did it matter if she knew the boy or not? There were always those stories about love on first sight, the kind of kitschy stories every girl dreamt about but never expected to happen to them, and Rias was no different in that. Oh, she enjoyed those stories and she read more than just one book with that very premise at its center, and yet she never, not even for a moment, thought that she would ever experience anything the like. After all, she couldn't. She never had a choice in matters of love. Her lover had been decided long before she was born, and growing up her family made sure that she was kept far away from any male devils. Only direct relatives and her fiancé were allowed to approach her without a chaperone present to ensure her purity, which in hindsight was quite funny to her. Her cousin Sarorg was not allowed to approach her without her chaperone being there, even though everyone knew that Sarorg would never touch her in any sexual way. Yet Riser Phoenix, the one devil that wanted nothing more than to fuck her, was allowed to casually approach her. Was it just her, or was there truly something wrong with that way of handling things? But no, she shouldn't blame her family for that, not when she knew that her chaperone, that nasty woman, accepted bribes for a variety of things. Rias had witnessed Riser bribe her chaperone with her very own eyes, and ever since that day Riser was never bothered by that nasty bitch again. Rias briefly entertained the thought of telling her father about the bribes, but decided against it, for her chaperone was also her father's mistress, one of his favorites at that. Rias was quite sure that if she confronted her father and mother, and told them all about it, they would believe her, maybe, but that meant that she had to confront her parents again, and Rias didn't know if she could do that. She didn't know if she could manage to sit through another evening of false smiles, pitying looks, and empty presents. And all she ever wanted was to be able to choose. Rias finished the paper she worked on so far and quickly replaced it with a new one. Looking to the side, she had to withhold a groan as she saw a small steeple of papers that she had yet to do. One paper at a time, Rias, one paper at a time. And so, she went back to work, writing away until her wrists started to cramp up, and then she wrote some more. And as she was working, her mind once more wandered back to a certain blonde and blue-eyed new student. I wonder how Naruto-kun is doing right now. I hope that he didn't do anything to make Sohi-sensei angry, Rias thought while continuing to do her daily work routine. That was until the door to the ORC began to open and she rose her head to look at the person that entered the room. Rias smiled fondly and put her pen down to greet the person. Kaneko-chan, don't you have pee now? I got excused from class, the petite girl said in a monotonous drawl. Rias frowned at the girl and stood up before walking up to the smaller first-year student. She gently placed her hands onto the girl's shoulders and gave her a kind smile. What's wrong, Kaneko-chan? Rias asked while softly rubbing her, Rook's, shoulders. It's not like you to shy away from gym class. The lithe Rook looked away with a frown marring her pretty features. The girls of my class went swimming today, and I can't. The little girl's despondent tone pulled at Rias' heartstrings, and she was quick to pull Kaneko into a warm hug. I'm sorry, Kaneko-chan, Rias cooed while caressing the smaller girl's bright, snow-white hair. It's not your fault, Bucho, the girls mumbled into Rias' boobs. But it is. I should have taught you how to swim long ago. Rias' eyes widened when the little girl wrapped her arms around her waist. And you tried to teach me. Kaneko began to purr quietly when Rias found and scratched that special spot hidden beneath her hair. It isn't your fault that I'm scared of water. So stubborn. Rias had a small grin on her face as he held the smaller girl in her arms. She was always rather weak against adorable things and her little Kaneko had to be the epitome of cuteness right now. Are you hungry right now? Kaneko looked up from in between the valley of Rias' breasts, and gave the taller girl a quick nod, a little. The crimson-haired princess nodded and ushered her little Rook towards one of the couches. Then take a seat and I'll get you a little snack. Kaneko Tuja blinked. You? Yeah, why not? Akino is out doing something with Tsubaki-chan, so just sit tight while I have a look. Maybe I can find something that you'd enjoy. The first year gave a non-committal half-shrug before she planted down on the couch. Her golden hazel eyes followed her king's form as the older girl walked out of the clubroom and headed for the kitchen of the old school building. Bucho seems different, the lithe girl thought to herself. Kaneko didn't have to wait long before Bucho came back and with a silver held in both hands. The crimson-haired princess of Ruin placed the tray down in front of the white-haired girl with a smile on her pretty face. Kaneko looked blankly at the dish before her. Those cookies smelled good, as did the tea. And here she always believed that Akino and Kiba were the only members of the peerage that could cook. Here, I hope that it won't be too bad. Did you make this, Bucho? Well, not the cookies, there were still some leftovers from the last time Akino baked a tray. I just put them in the oven for a few minutes and made a pot of tea, Rias explained with a tilt of her head. Now dig in while I'll finish the rest of my paperwork. Kaneko had to withhold a small smile as she saw Bucho walk back towards her desk with her head lowered and a comedic rain cloud above her head. Maybe Bucho's not that different after all. The girl shook her head and grabbed a steaming cookie from the tray and bit into it. She hummed pleasantly and took a sip of the tea. The rest of the hour passed quickly for both Rias and Kaneko, with the former being consumed by her work and the latter consuming sweets and tea like the little cookie monster she was. After school with Naruto. Naruto yawned tiredly and stretched his hands high above his head as he made his way through the hallways of Kuohai. At the end of the hallway, he went down the spiraling staircase until he reached the bottom floor. With his brain on autopilot, the blonde shinobi moved through the crowd of students without touching one of them. He just wanted to get out of here. The last class was tiring to say the least. The history teacher seemed to know what she was talking about, but did she really have to be that strict? Luckily, he heeded the warning of the cute green-haired girl and avoided getting into any trouble with the woman. Still, how did someone that used corporal punishment in this day and age get a license to work with children? Uzumaki-san. The blonde stopped and turned around to see the girl he talked to during class come running towards him. Oh, it's you, Naruto mumbled after the girl came to stop in front of him panting and out of breath. How can I help ya? The girl looked up at Naruto and gave him a timid smile. I just wanted to properly introduce myself. My name is Rina Hayes. The blonde laughed kindly down at the vastly smaller girl. She was cute, he admitted that much. It's nice to meet Cha Rina-chan. Rina's entire face went red and seemingly the entire girl went fidgety. And Naruto could feel it well up within him, that deep urge that only the cutest of girls could evoke within a manly man like him. That primordial urge to reach out and grab the girl in a massive bear hug. But he held strong and withstood. He stayed steadfast and unflinching in the face of cuteness. And thanks again for the warning about the sensei, Tebeo. No problem, and Naruto-kun. The girl gave him a blushing smile. Rina was a cute girl, pretty too, but not in this girl needs to be worshipped at an altar kind of way. No, she had that girl next door kind of beauty, with dull mint green hair, light green eyes, a petite stature with surprisingly big breasts, and rather wide hips for her small frame. And seriously, the girl was tiny, with the top of her head barely reaching the bottom of Naruto's chest. Anyways, I want to get out of here, so do you maybe want to walk with me? Naruto asked and pointed at the emptying hallway before them. Oh sure, great. Come on, let's go. Rina gave Naruto a timid smile and the two of them began their walk down the hallway. Naruto pretended not to notice the glances the green-haired young woman gave him occasionally. As they walked, it was nice, he supposed, to walk side by side with a girl like this, but he didn't know if he was ready to make new friends just yet. He sighed and shoved his hands into the front pockets of his trousers. Is something wrong? Huh? He looked down and to the right to see Rina look at him with a worried and inquisitive look on her pretty face. Oh no, nothing's wrong, just lost in thought I guess. Alright, the girl nodded and a few moments of awkward silence passed before she once more looked at the far taller man walking next to him. Wanna talk about it? About what? About your thoughts, I mean. Sometimes talking about things like that helps me clear my head, you know. The girl glanced to the side with a light blush on her cheeks. Or was it too personal for to ask? I don't want to intrude. Nah, it's alright. Naruto tilted his head and squinted in thought. I guess I just don't know how I'm supposed to act, you know? Do you mean around me or in general? The girl asked with a cute tilt of her head. In general. But I wouldn't mind some advice on the former either. Naruto leered playfully down at the girl. Rina giggled and shook her head. I don't think you need any advice about that, you're doing fine. It's nice to just be able to walk with a boy without having to worry about you trying to do something perverted. He looked down at the girl with an eyebrow cocked. How do you know that I wouldn't give it a try? Oh, I don't. The girl smiled up at the confused blonde. You just don't strike me as the type who would try something untoward. And Mom's always told me that I have good instincts. Just make sure that your trusting nature won't come back to haunt you in the future. Reina gulped lightly. Was it just her imagination or did she hear something dark, bitter, and angry in Naruto's tone just now? And as she allowed herself a glance at his handsome face, she could have sworn that his eyes were shadowed and she blinked and shook her head. She was just imagining things. You don't have to worry, Naruto-kun. I'm always careful around new people. She gave him a little grin. But back to what you said earlier, why are you worried about how you should act? I mean, it's simple, isn't it? Just act like yourself. Naruto tilted his head and gave the girl a smile that did not quite reach his eyes. Yeah, I guess you're right. If it only would be that simple, he thought bitterly but wisely kept those thoughts from showing on his face. See? Sometimes you just need to talk to someone, and everything works out. Rina walked ahead and spun around to face Naruto. Said Blonde smiled at the cute girl that was now walking backward while keeping her eyes on him. She was a nice girl, and far bubblier than she let on at first glance. The beautiful and busted Akino Himejima walked down the hallways of Ko Academy. As she walked, she waved and smiled at all her fans, both boys and girls alike, putting on the charade of being their perfect and unfailable One-sama when in truth she was either of those things. Ah well, appearances must be kept, and so, she played along, doing everything that the masses expected her to do and then some. Akino just finished her meeting with her fellow queen, Tsubaki Shinra, and was on her way back to the old school building. As the senior rounded a corner she came upon an interesting sight. My oh my, someone's working quickly, you fufu.